Steph, you have the floor. You want to talk to us about kind of this journey, and this is our first week of sock camp, and we're going to learn kind of the beginning of the over easy socks, and then you'll tell us what would be recommended to do this week.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to be knitting the over easy socks. It is knit flat, which I'd never done before. So it starts at the front cuff and you go down to the toe, you complete the toe, and then on the back side, you join it along the sides as you go, and it creates this pretty little seam. And then when you get to the heel, we're going to be learning a new type of heel. So this is still a short row heel, but it's called a bifurcated short row heel. And what it has these extra rows in between, so it kind of creates an extra gusset, which is a good heel for people that have a high instep or need a little extra room in the heel. So I would recommend, even if you don't want to make the sock, purchase the pattern so you can have the heel if you need the extra room. And then, yep, you just finish it up with the cuff on the end. It has this cute little rolled cuff. And they're super fun to make. I think they're addicting. I didn't think so at first. My first one I didn't enjoy. I just wanted it to be finished. But by the time I got past the toe and started joining it on the backside, then I really started to like it. And then once it's completed, it's just so cute. And you can do all kinds of color combinations too. It's a great way to use up scraps because it doesn't take much of each color to do. The one Angie has at the shop, the navy one with the stripes, I used 2 baby bees to do the bottoms of it. So,
Wow.
and still had a little left over. Yeah.
There they are.
Yeah. So, something to talk about would be fit. If you have the pattern in front of you, you might notice that the stitch count is a little weird. But if you're normally a 64 stitch sock, then you would probably go with the 7th size, which is casting on 33. I normally knit a 64, but I decided to do the 6th size, which is 29 stitches casting on, because I like it to be a little bit more snug on my foot, since it doesn't have to go all the way up your calf. You don't really need the extra room, I don't think, but that's up to you. I found that size really fits my foot well. So that's what I chose to do. You'll be placing markers when you start the cuff. You're going to need, let's see, 8 total locking stitch markers for each sock. So when you start, you're going to be placing markers on each side at the end of that rolled cuff. And then again, when you get to the bottom of the ribbing, and then you'll place another set to mark where your heel is going to go. And then when deciding how long to make it, this part was confusing for me, very frustrating, because I didn't like not knowing my numbers. I didn't like making a sock, going all the way around, not being able to try it on, and then not knowing if it was going to fit at the end. So, but it worked out. So her suggestions for how long to make it, I think were pretty accurate. Like for my size, it said to stop 5 3/4 inches shorter than you would want your total sock length to be.
5 3/4 inches.
Yes.
Okay, because that sounds like a big number.
From the heel marker. Okay. Or sorry, that was my total length. She said to stop like 3 1/4 or
3
something.
1/4, I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, 3 1/4. So yeah, my total length was 5 3/4 because I have big size 10 feet. So so that worked out pretty well. But then when I got it done and I tried it on, I found I'd rather have a little bit more room. So then my next couple pairs I've been going to 6 inches instead. Now, when you measure, you're measuring from where you placed those heel markers. You're not measuring the whole length of the front side. So keep that in mind.
Shall I go to the screen, Steph, so that they could see that?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. And I'll let you. There it is. You could talk about it and I can point it out. Is everybody seeing it?
Yeah, so this is Angie's sock. You can see she's on the back side now, but she has all her markers in place on the front side. So that's going to tell her when to stop to put in the heel, when to start the ribbing, and when to start the stockinette for the rolled cuff.
So the first marker is for the rolled cuff, correct, Steph?
Yep.
Second marker is for your cuff, to do your cuff. So this little third marker is where the heel goes?
Yes. Now, if you want your sock higher on your ankle, you can add extra rows in between those last 2 sets of markers.
In between these 2 sets of markers here.
Yep.
Right here, okay?
Yep. So the last marker that you place, that's where you're going to want your heel to go.
Okay, because Steph, when you and I talked about this, like right here, this is just all that's going to be up on my ankle is just that cuff, right? Yeah. Okay. And you said, I think you told me you added 4 extra rows. Is that right?
Yes. The first time I did it as it was written, and I wished it was a little bit higher on my ankle. And so the second pair, I did 8 extra rows, and I felt like that was a little bit too high. So this third pair, I added 4 extra rows, and I think that's pretty perfect, at least for what I like.
Okay. And the pattern tells us that, doesn't it? It says knit a couple rows and then place. It tells you very specifically to place your markers. I thought it was very clear.
Yes. Let's see. And then, so I've actually been doing a knit along with the designer that started in September. So I've been kind of learning some tips from her too. And she said a lot of people were getting confused about the length of the sock because they wanted to make it normally how long they would make it from the back of the heel. But you have to consider your heel isn't there yet. So you don't want to include that in your length or your sock is going to end up being too long.
So for example, what I'm doing is I am doing 6 inches from my cuff to where I start my toe is what after I visited with Steph. I don't know if that's going to be right or not, but that's what I'm going to do is this one is 6 inches to where I then started the toe down here. So just like we've learned our other numbers, you're going to have to learn your numbers for this sock. That's what you've discovered, right, Steph? That you did some fussing with the numbers.
Yeah. And on my third pair, my first sock, I accidentally made the top part a little bit too long. And what I did was then I just adjusted the placement of my heel markers. So I moved those up 4 rows, and that got me the length I needed that would fit. And it still worked out to do that way. So you can adjust it a little bit. So once you get past the toe and start joining it, you'll be able to try it on and see if it's going to work out.
So I'm understanding, just for clarification, you maybe did your 8 rows extra in here, and then your little sock, your heel marker would be here. and you just could move it up because you had done it a little too long, is what you're telling me, telling
Mhm.
us. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. The first time I made it though, to see if I actually counted the rows that were involved in the toe and the heel to try to get an idea to help me out. Because if you know your row gauge, then you can count up those rows and figure that out. So my my gauge is 12 rows per inch. And the toe ended up being 1 3/4, which is a little shorter than the toe I normally do, is 2 inches. So, but that helped me when I was figuring it out too.
Is there anything else you want to show here, Steph? And then I can take it off so you're back on speaker.
Oh, do you want to just show up close how the side seam looks?
No, because it doesn't look very good. No, yes, I'll show you. Yes, I'll show you. So this would be uh this side looks really nice because that's the knit side. And you won't be doing this. I mean, you can move into this, but we're going to teach the toe next week, and then you could start the pickup. Obviously, if you want to move forward, you can do that. The toe's pretty self-explanatory because it is the short row heel we do, the shadow wrap heel. But then look at this side. You can see where this side, because my pickups, I didn't quite pick up in the right, I picked up in the wrong area. And that would be one thing I would recommend. If I should not have used this dark of yarn. So I would encourage you, if you want to try this and you haven't started your sock yet, that maybe you would think about using the lighter yarn to be able to see that pickup, because you are going to pick up these little V's along the side. And if it's dark, you're going to have trouble picking those up, because I had trouble picking them up. So yes, no, I did show it to you. Yes, I was thinking of you, Stephanie. I was like, I see why she was frustrated with this. So, so I would say that to all of you. But as I was doing it, I'm like, this is really good, because I am really growing. I mean, I'm using my brain, I'm doing different things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So uh that would be what we would want to do, my tips for you from what I have learned in the process. I'm plowing ahead because I look back at that and I'm like, oh, I should take those back. And then I'm like, I'm not taking them back. I'm not taking them back. Moving forward. Okay, Steph.
When you get to your desired length, the following, because you're going to end with a right side row, your next wrong side row is where you're going to join the contrasting color. So you basically purl across that row, and then your final stitch where you knit it, you're going to knit it with the contrasting color. And so since that's kind of where we want you to get to this week, is get all the way down the front side, get ready for your toe. We'll teach the toe next week and the joining. You could, because you're going to be cutting off your main color, knit both front sides this week if you want to.
I will tell you that you are knitting and purling, and so it's going to feel really different. I think, Steph, you mentioned that to me, that you're like, you have to get used to purling in the sock. And that was a new kind of brain thing for me as well. And then I think you mentioned the slipping of the stitches, and that's going to be super important, correct?
Yeah, on the front side of the sock, you're always slipping with the yarn in front, whether it's the right side or the wrong side. just pay attention to the pattern, but it's that way for the whole front side of the sock. When you get to the back side, then on your right side rows, you're going to be slipping it in back when you start the join.
Mhm. And that's what creates that beautiful little edge along the way that then makes it easy for you to pick up. And I think on one of them, you knit through the back loop too. So it's
Yeah.
pretty important that you do what she has there, because it creates the edges of the stitches for you then to come back and pick up. Now, Steph, wasn't there something about gauge in this? Her gauge is different than you're knitting it to your gauge, right?
Yeah, her gauge was, I think, 34 stitches, and I wanted to use my regular needle size with my regular gauge, which is 32 stitches. So she has a little math section at the beginning of her pattern to calculate how many stitches to cast on, if you want to work at a different gauge. So I did that to see. I actually measured my foot, the circumference, and then did the calculations, and then that's what led me to do the casting on the 29 stitches versus the 33, which I do like. I don't think I would have liked it if I did the larger size.
She's got a bunch of sizes on that pattern.
Yeah.
So you cast on 29 and you typically are a 64. So that's what I did. I did 29. I'm a typical 64, a 64. So you could kind of use that for those of you that want to knit it as your gauge. Would you recommend that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what else do we need to know, Steph, for this week?
I think that's about it. Does anybody have questions?
So we want you, we'll take your questions, and then we want you to, what would be recommended is you knit that panel so that you're ready for your toe. And if you're comfortable, we'll have a video of the toe demonstration. I'm going to tell you it's almost identical to our shadow wrap heel. It's a shadow wrap toe. Now there are a couple of you that are taking my beginning sock class on Thursday, and don't get overwhelmed by this. We'll stay with that sock. You're welcome to take on this one if you want to as well, but I think it's best for you to learn how to make a basic sock before we would go this. A lot of us are experienced in sock knitting, so that allows us to kind of adjust from there. Nancy's asking what needle size you use, Steph.
I use a 2. That's my normal needle size. That's what gets me the 8 stitches per inch, but I'm a tight knitter.
So whatever you're recommending, whatever size needle we use, do it. Okay. Okay. Other questions? Who's going to try it? Wave your hand if you're going to try the new sock. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. Got thumbs up. Very good. Circular or magic loop?
I'm using a circular needle, but since it's not in the round, you're just knitting it flat.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can knit it on a 24-inch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I've been using.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's really, really neat. And, I got really enthused when Steph brought these to the shop and I put them on. And I have to say that they fit, not big, but they fit comfortably. I really like the heel. Why don't you explain what bifurcated means first, Steph? Because Steph explained to me how she knew what bifurcated means.
Well, it means it splits in 2. So I know that because every year when I go to the eye doctor, he's fascinated by my eyes because I have an extra artery in each eye. And that it's even more fascinating because it bifurcates and it splits in 2. So he always goes on and on about it, how exciting that is, because he never gets to see that as an eye doctor. So that's the only reason I knew what it meant. And you can see that in the heel. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
So it's these extra rows here, these extra short rows, it creates kind of a V. So this here is like splitting to create these extra rows, this extra room. And it makes more of a rounded heel.
That's what I was going to say, Steph. It's a rounded heel. It's very, 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 very rounded heel. I found it to be really super comfortable. And as Steph mentioned at the beginning, you know, just to learn the heel part, because didn't you ask her if you could use this?
Yeah, she said that you could use this in any sock pattern if you wanted to have extra room in your heel, or if you have a high instep, that might be a good heel for you to try in your regular socks. And then she also said too, like I know Joanne has a narrow heel. She got hers done and thought it was a little bit baggy on the heel, so she might use just the regular shadow wrap on the next one. The designer said that would work as well.
Right. So this is going to be very similar to what we've been on our journey, is that it's going to take a little bit of playing and to figure out exactly how to make this sock work and how to make it fit. I like it because it's a bigger ankle sock. Have you been wearing them, Steph? Do they stay up nicely?
I haven't, because both my pairs were at
Oh, yeah.
the shop and I just finished these this morning.
Okay, sorry. We'll send them home so you can be wearing them.
No, but yeah, I'd like to try them out and see what I think.
Well, I put it on and it was super comfortable, and look how pretty that looks. Really nice for the, you know, you can put that panel of color there. So the goal is to get your panel knit. You might get both of them knit. Just like sometimes when we talk about learning to do your heel, if you can do several toes, you do both your toes right behind each other, then you'll do your pickup. I knit this in an evening, no problem. I mean, it goes really fast because 29 stitches and 6 inches. I mean, I got it done, no time flat. Yeah, this takes a little more time, the picking up of it. Not bad, but it does take a little more time. So this will be this week. Then we'll do the toe and get you set up to do this part, the sole, the bottom of your foot. And then in the third week, we'll teach the heel. Okay. Let's see. Is the pattern available on Ravelry? Yes, it is. Name of the pattern again.
Over Easy, the Over Easy socks, the designer is Holli Yeoh, Yeoh, I think.
We will put it in, as always, we have a Ravelry thread. It's already started. And so we will put the link to the pattern in the Ravelry thread, so that you can find it there. And yes, you can purchase it there. And then she have Instagram and all that. She does, doesn't she, Steph?
She does.
Great. And
Yeah.
Steph is setting in on her teaching as well. So we're going to get the benefit of that. So super fun. I guess we'll have to have an eggs over easy when we're all done to celebrate. Speaking of, the first Saturday in November, we will have our scrimmage. Thank you, Stephanie. We will have our scrimmage party that Saturday from noon to 2. I think it's an away game. I don't know. We usually have to follow all of that. So we're up on what's happening to fit our time in there. So again, we're going to have prizes and fun things. We'd like you to introduce yourself on our Ravelry thread. And we're gonna amp it up a little bit. We're gonna have 2 drawings for $10 gift certificates for next week. And you just come and introduce yourself, tell us why you want to participate, how many you've done. We'll put it on there, what you want to do. And so we'll draw from everybody that submits. All you got to do is submit your name. That's your name and information, your name and your why. We'll have a drawing from that. And then the team that submits the most of those, not entries, but just the most of who you are, we're going to draw from those people as well for another $10 gift certificate. So team, don't let your team down. Go introduce yourself on our Ravelry thread. And of course, you can also post your progress. You can ask questions, share tips and facts, and all of those kinds of things. So I think most everybody that's on is familiar with how to get to the Ravelry. If not, let us know and we can get you there. I will also post the video link there as well so that you can go and watch it back. This is the Knit Lincoln. I'm honestly very surprised that we have any left. It's probably the best one I've seen her do all year. It's got pinks and teals and orange and white and speckles, and it's just fabulous. It's called a Wheelie Great. And it represents the Hub Cafe. And the Hub Cafe is on a bike path in Lincoln. And so it's a great place to have lunch at. And then she does have a speckled baby bee, which she doesn't always do a speckled baby bee. So if you want a speckled baby bee, you can order it online and then write in the comments, I want that speckled baby bee. We only have probably 6 of them. Is that right? Maybe. So yeah, if you want it, order it tonight because it could be gone. We don't have that in inventory. We just have it based upon what we have. Okay, everyone. That's our kickoff to our red white sock camp. Thank you, Steph. Thank you for being on. We'll go on and we'll write our team names. We'll post that on the Ravelry page. We'll post our challenge for how to introduce yourself, and then go on in the next week, and then we'll draw for those 2 $10 gift certificates that you'll be able to use for more sock yarn. Good luck finishing your socks. Those of you who are taking sock class on Thursday, I will see you then. And we'll be right back here next Tuesday at 6:30. Okay, go Big Red. Go red, go white. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.